U.S. charges brought against 5 Chinese military hackers for alleged cyber espionage has had an immediate impact on international relations across the Pacific.
This administration will not tolerate actions by any nation that seeks to illegally sabotage American companies and undermine the integrity of fair competition in the operation of the free market.
U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder announced the historic grand jury indictment in a Monday press conference.
Foreign nation uses military or intelligence resources and tools against an American executive or corporation to obtain trade secrets or sensitive business information for the benefit of its state-owned companies. We must say enough is enough.
The FBI even issued a wanted poster for the 5 Army officers.
The indictment alleges that these PLA officers maintained unauthorized access to victim computers to steal information from these entities that would be useful to their competitors in China, including state-owned enterprises. In some cases, they stole trade secrets that would have been particularly beneficial to Chinese companies at the time that they were stolen. In others, they stole sensitive internal communications that would provide a competitor or an adversary in litigation with insight into the strategy and the vulnerabilities of the American entity. In some, the alleged hacking appears to have been conducted for no other reason than to advantage state-owned companies and other interests in China at the expense of businesses here in the United States.
Although successful prosecution is hard to imagine, the charges have nonetheless hampered relations between the 2 superpowers. China has denounced U.S. charges, countering that the U.S. is itself guilty of spying on other countries, including China.
And to the degree that it affects the relationship, well, I mean, that's a decision that the Chinese have got to make. We still desire, from a military perspective, to further grow and develop the military-to-military relationship.
China has already suspended cooperation with the U.S. on an internet working group.
So, you know, I understand that yesterday they pulled out, they announced that they pulled out of the cyber working group. That's regrettable. It's a decision they made, and that's a regrettable decision. Wasn't a decision they had to make. But this is a tough issue we don't always agree on, but it's one that we got to keep the dialogue and the conversations open on. And the Secretary firmly believes in still doing that. Again, I'd go back to what he said recently, which is we have no desire to militarize cyberspace. And with countries like China who are active in cyber, we want to continue to have as open and as transparent a conversation about it as possible.
On Tuesday, the press grilled a U.S. State Department spokesperson on the timing of the charges and whether or not the agencies coordinated over the announcement.
Well, the State Department did receive advance notice of the law enforcement action. The United States routinely approaches foreign governments prior to unsealing indictments to request their assistance. The State Department is involved in communicating with foreign governments.
The Department of Justice came to you and said, we're going to do this, and you said, the building said, okay, and then you went and told the Chinese before the announcement? Is that?
That's not, well, that is about the timeline of things, yes.
Okay.
We consult with governments on a regular basis as the State Department.
Did the State Department think that it was a good idea to do this?
As I said yesterday, this announcement is consistent with the concerns that we've expressed publicly many times about the actions of China as it relates to cybersecurity.
What's more, the situation now seems to involve Russia, with whom U.S. relations are already strained over the situation in the Ukraine.
And the fact that it happened as President Putin was flying to China. Can you explain how this was not what seems to be just an epic timing disaster?
Well, Matt, again, we are supportive of steps taken. The President has been supportive. The Secretary has been supportive.
This case should serve as a wake-up call to the seriousness of the ongoing cyber threat. These criminal charges represent a groundbreaking step forward in addressing that threat.
As the Attorney General said, this is a wake-up call to the Chinese. And you just basically drove the Chinese into Putin's arms.